The message popped up on my screen at exactly 11:27 p.m. It was unsigned, but I didn't need a name to know who it was from. Your system has a flaw. You're living doors open you don't even know exist. My chest tightened. Lucas. He had warned me about this before, sly, in passing, but this was different. This wasn't a warning, this was a challenge. Lucas, my husband's only son, was brilliant, reckless, and completely untouchable. While his father, Al-Haji Mansour, was building tech empires across the globe, Lucas was breaking them down, one system at a time, leaving trails that only people like me could follow. I had been hired to stop hackers like him before I even met Al-Haji, and now I was staring at the handiwork of someone I couldn't publicly confront. The message was more than code, it was personal. Now I could feel it in the sharpness of his tone. Lucas had no reason to dig into my systems except me. The first time Lucas and I crossed paths, it wasn't in this code cyber world, it was during Al-Haji's 50th birthday party in a Lagos mansion dripping with wealth. Lucas had strolled in late, wearing that casual smirk that made him look so out of place among the polished guests. But his eyes, they locked onto mine with a heat that no firewall could block. "Nice to meet you, stepmother," he said, his voice calm but laced with something unspoken. I should have ignored it, I should have treated him like the spoiled, brilliant young man that everyone warned me about. But from that night, the lines began to blur, and now as I stared at the blinking cursor, I knew I was already in too deep. The back and forth with Lucas was no longer just about systems anymore, it was about us. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, responding would be a mistake, I told myself. Yet, I couldn't help but type, "You're playing with fire, Lucas. Be careful who you challenge." The reply came faster than I expected. Maybe I'm not the only one playing. The air in my study suddenly felt heavy. Lucas's reply lingered on my screen, taunting me, daring me to respond. My fingers trembled as I reached for the glass of water beside my laptop. I told myself it was just the late hour messing with my head, but deep down I knew better. I should have shut my laptop and walked away. I should have ignored him and focused on the looming project deadline for Al-Haji's company. But instead, I leaned back in my chair, staring at the words Lucas had typed. Maybe I'm not the only one playing. Was he testing me, or had he figured out what I was trying so desperately to hide? The truth was, Lucas had become my blind spot, the glitch in my perfectly organized life. It wasn't just his charm or the way he always seemed to know what to say to get to me, it was the connection we shared, the unspoken understanding between two people who lived in a world of code secrets and shadows. I closed my eyes, remembering the first time I realized there was something more between us. It was 2 months ago during a weekend retreat Al-Haji organized for his top executives. Lucas had shown up uninvited, claiming he was there to support the family. He had stayed close to me throughout the event, asking questions about my work, teasing me about my love for order and structure. At one point, we found ourselves alone by the pool. The evening breeze had been cool, but the tension between us was anything but. "I get why you're so good at your job," Lucas had said, his voice low. "You don't just see systems, you see people. You know their weaknesses." "And what about you?" I had asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. "What do you see?" He had smiled then, a slow knowing smile that made my heart race. "I see someone who hides behind walls, but deep down you want someone who knows how to climb over them." I should have shot him down right there, but instead, I had laughed softly, deflecting his words with a joke. It was easier than admitting that he wasn't entirely wrong. Now, as I stared at his latest message, I felt that same thrill, the dangerous thrill of being seen in a way no one else saw me. My phone buzzed on the desk, breaking my thoughts. I picked it up, half expecting another cryptic message from Lucas, but it was Al-Haji calling from Abuja. "Ella, my love," he said warmly. "How's everything at home?" "Fine," I replied, forcing a smile. "Just wrapping up some work." "That's my hard-working wife," he said with pride. "Listen, I need you to oversee the security protocols for our new project. The board is nervous about leaks, especially with competitors sniffing around. I froze. The new project was one of the most sensitive ventures Al-Haji's company had ever undertaken. If Lucas was hacking into my systems, there was a good chance he was after information about it. I'll handle it, I assured him, trying to keep my voice steady. Good. I trust you completely, Al-Haji said before ending the call. The irony wasn't lost on me. Al-Haji's trust was the foundation of our marriage, but here I was, entangled in a web of secrets with his son. As soon as the call ended, another message from Lucas appeared on my laptop. Did he mention the project? I hope you're not working too hard for him. You should take a break. Maybe we could talk. I stared at the screen, torn between anger and something I couldn't quite name. Lucas wasn't just playing games. He was crossing boundaries I wasn't ready to face. But instead of shutting him out, I found myself typing back, "Meet me tomorrow at 7 p.m. at the cafe by the lagoon." No games, Lucas, just answers. The reply came almost instantly. "I'll be there." "But Ella, are you sure you want answers? You might not like what you find." The next evening, I arrived at the cafe by the lagoon, my heart pounding as I scanned the cozy, dimly lit space. Lucas was already there, seated at a corner table, dressed in a casual black shirt that made him look both disarming and dangerous. He stood when he saw me, his expression unreadable but his eyes holding that familiar glint of mischief. "You came," he said, pulling out a chair for me. "I didn't come for games, Lucas," I replied, sitting down and keeping my tone firm. "We need to talk." He leaned back in his chair, watching me closely. "All right, let's talk. Why don't we start with why you're here?" "You've been hacking into my systems," I said, my voice low but steady. "I need to know what you're after." Lucas smirked, his fingers tracing the rim of his coffee cup. "Straight to the point. I like that about you." "This isn't a joke," I said sharply. "If you're trying to sabotage your father's company, I'm not," he interrupted, his tone suddenly serious. "Ella, I'm not after his company. I'm after you." My breath caught for a moment. The air between us felt charged, as if the entire world had narrowed down to this table, this moment. "You need to stop this," I said finally, my voice softening. "Whatever this is, it can't happen." "Why not?" he challenged. "Because it's wrong? Because people wouldn't understand? Or because you're afraid of what it means?" I looked away, unable to meet his gaze. He wasn't entirely wrong. I was afraid of how easily he had managed to slip past my defenses, afraid of the feelings I couldn't seem to control. "You're playing a dangerous game," I said quietly. "This thing between us, it's not real. It's just an illusion, a distraction." "Is that what you think?" he asked, leaning forward. "Because it feels pretty real to me." I shook my head, tears stinging my eyes. "Lucas, you're young and you're reckless. You think this is exciting, but it's not. It's messy and complicated, and it will destroy everything if we let it." For a moment, he said nothing, just stared at me with an intensity that made my chest ache. Then he leaned back, his expression softening. "You're right," he said finally. "It is messy, and it's not fair to you or to him." I looked at him in surprise, not expecting him to concede so easily. "I won't deny how I feel about you," he continued, "but I don't want to be the reason your life falls apart. You've worked too hard to build this, Ella. Don't let me ruin it." I swallowed hard, his words hitting me with unexpected force. For all his bravado, there was a vulnerability in Lucas that I hadn't seen before, a part of him that cared more than he let on. "Thank you," I said quietly, my voice barely above a whisper, "for understanding." He nodded, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Take care of yourself, Ella. And be careful, not everyone will play by the rules like I do." With that, he stood, leaving a crisp envelope on the table before walking away. I opened it hesitantly, finding a handwritten note inside. "This was never about the company, it was about you. But I'm stepping away now. Protect yourself and him. You deserve better than secrets and shadows. As I watched him disappear into the night, a strange mix of relief and sadness washed over me. Lucas was right, I deserved better, and so did Al-Haji. Advice for women: no matter how thrilling or tempting a situation may seem, never lose sight of your values and the foundation you've built. Boundaries are there for a reason, respect them, both for yourself and for those you care about. True strength lies in choosing what's right over what's easy, even when emotions threaten to cloud your judgment. Protect your peace, your integrity, and your worth, because you deserve nothing less.